All right, so we're still doing some definitions here for what's called complex numbers. So definition, for any real numbers, a and b, we call a plus bi a complex number. That's what a complex number is. So a and b are both real numbers. I is this thing that we just did on the previous video. It's the square root of negative 1, or a square root of negative 1. There's actually 2. The other one is minus I. That's the square root of negative 1. So a plus bi we call a complex number. A is called the real part of the complex number, and b is called the imaginary part of the complex number. Notice the imaginary part is not bi. That's the imaginary term. There's a real term a, and there's an imaginary term b. But when we say the real part, I'm sorry, let me say that again. That was wrong. There's a real part a, and then there's an there's a real term a here, right? And then there's an imaginary term bi. Then there's a real part a, but the imaginary part is not bi, it's the coefficient of the I. It's b. Okay, so the real part of a complex number and the imaginary part are both real numbers. So that confuses people a little bit sometimes. So I wrote that out for you so you can see it and review it and stuff. So bi is not the imaginary part. Bi is the imaginary term. B is the imaginary part of the complex number, a plus bi. So here's some notes. A plus bi is called the standard form of a complex number. Okay. That's important to know. It's always important to know what they mean by standard form. If a equals 0, we usually write the number as bi, not as 0 plus bi. So you'll have problems that say write this complex number in standard form. If a was 0, you would just write bi. You don't have to write the 0 plus bi, even though technically it seems like it should be 0 plus bi. You just leave the 0 off. Okay, and similarly, if b is 0, we usually just write the complex number as a, not as a plus 0i. So we would consider standard form just a in that case when b is 0, rather than writing in the plus 0i. It's just, these are just conventions. It's just the way we like to do things, just to keep things simpler. So in the case of b above, when b equals 0, the complex number is actually a real number. So real numbers are complex numbers, but not all complex numbers are real numbers, right? Most complex numbers are not real numbers, in one sense at least. Okay, so the real numbers are a subset of the complex numbers. It's a subset where b equals 0. The pure imaginary numbers, notice, are the subset of the complex numbers where a is 0. Right? So this a here, this one here, these are the pure imaginary numbers. They look like this. And this one here, these are the real numbers. Okay?